So we're just going to jump in to a little bit of a welcome and share a little bit more about Space Camp now. I'm going to share my screen. So we just wanted to welcome you all to Space Camp. This Space Camp is called Towards Climate Stabilization, and we're really going to dive into what climate stabilization and systems change is throughout the course. This is an opportunity for all of us to come together to become Trimtabs and embrace our unique gifts and passions to help create a climate-safe future. This course is not about the climate crisis. It's about action and impact and what we can do as individuals now. As most of you guys know, I'm Faith Flanagan, the interim executive director of the Buckminster Fuller Institute. And this is Will. Do you want to introduce yourself, Will?
Hi, everyone. I am a two-time Space Camp participant, one-time co-organizer, and very happy to be here.
Thanks, Will. And Will is taking Jasmine's place. She's started her own business. So we've been working together over the last several months to create this new course, which is really what we see as an immersive, multidimensional program that lays the foundation for a world that works for 100% of life. And we have been working with a community of advisors over the last several months to relaunch this course. So first, I want to say thank you to all of our advisors. It's been very, very beautiful working with you. And many of you are volunteering. All of you are volunteering, actually, but volunteering during this course in different elements. So I just want to say thank you. And you'll notice that we're running the structure a bit different of this course. So I just wanted to say, be prepared. It's not going to be the same as the previous courses. This course will run for 8 weeks, and during that time, we'll have the opportunity to learn from world-leading changemakers alongside a global community of peers. So all the sessions will be run on Tuesdays at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and they'll include a keynote speaker who will lead us through an exploration, or keynote speakers, I should say, who will lead us through an exploration of Trimtab approaches to climate solutions, climate financing and technology, and whole systems approaches to climate stabilization. So you'll also have the opportunity to apply your learnings in real time with your fellow peers by being part of a mission. And we can talk about the missions later. So Buckminster Fuller called himself a Trimtab. If you haven't heard that term, I can break it down for you. The Trimtab is a smaller rudder on the back of a rudder of the ship, which steers the state change of the ship. So right now we're in a time of climate emergency with unprecedented catastrophic environmental events happening on a daily basis. And Fuller foresaw the world as running with the status quo, convenience and centralization as its steering wayward course. And if we try to get in front of the ship and push on it, we find that we don't get very far. But if we find the smaller rudder on the back of the rudder of the ship and apply ourselves, it allows us to change the direction of the entire ship. So the way we do this is by understanding systems. Through systems thinking, we can see the various ways we intervene in the systems, the upward and downward, the downstream and upstream causes and effects, and the various cascading benefits. So we look at these different types of collaborative solutions throughout the course, and we'll align with the principles of nature. So Buckminster Fuller coined the term whole system strategy through the comprehensive anticipatory design science. So this is the guiding framework that we'll be using throughout the course, and we'll have a 101 later on in the course on what comprehensive anticipatory design science is. But just to break it down a little bit, comprehensive means to start with the whole to take a whole systems perspective and explore connections with the integrated, complex world. Anticipatory is to think ahead, to identify, research, and interpret significant trends to gain a deeper understanding of possible futures. Design is to create intentionally, so seeking and applying the elegant patterns of nature and principles that are guiding the evolutionary strategies of what nature is. Science is to discover through experience, to generate hypotheses, iterate experiments, and rigorously verify through empirical observations. And we'll learn more about this from Kurt Prisbilla later in November. So I wanted to share a little bit about who we are at the Buckminster Fuller Institute. In January, we turned 40 years old, and 50 years ago, Fuller foresaw design science as the key to humanity's success. So we see the revolution as being well underway. It can be seen through design thinking, regenerative design systems, social innovation, impact investing, and circular economy, among many of the other things that we have talked about in this course, including biomimicry, biophilic systems, etc. So there are many concrete examples of Trimtab approaches to the climate crisis, and we'll be going over these throughout the course. So through realizing Fuller's vision, it requires us to create a dramatic paradigm shift. So moving from scarcity to abundance, separation to interconnectedness, and competition to cooperation. It requires a global adoption of new ways of thinking and doing, seeing the world as a whole instead of in its parts. Embracing uncertainty, championing experimentation and learning, and different ways of seeing life on this planet. So BFI seeks to further Fuller's work by accelerating the design science revolution, inspiring and supporting a new generation of design science pioneers who are leading the transition from an extractive to a regenerative global economy, which is all of you on this call. So why are you guys here? Why are we all here today? I think many of us have felt the weight of the climate emergency upon us. I think a lot of us are looking for tools and frameworks to help ground into the state of emergency, and also understanding what systems change means to climate stabilization or a climate safe future. So we all know that the climate is changing, and we're often overwhelmed by that. I know. So we call this course Towards Climate Stabilization because the climate is changing and is completely destabilized. I don't think I need to go into that too much, but so global climate destabilization poses an existential threat to humanity. With the impact of catastrophic wildfires, extreme storm events, and sea level rise, within the next 5 to 10 years, humanity will be in a strategic retreat from the coast due to sea level rise. The scale of the impact of this is hard to comprehend, and we're often faced with these facts. And what we aim to do in this course is to unpack what we can do as Trimtabs to make a difference through our actions and our everyday lives through systems thinking. So we've come here together with our unique genius to see how we can change the trajectory of our spaceship Earth. And so we ask ourselves, what would nature do? This is a course where systems change meets climate stabilization. And some of the questions that will guide our learning, we'll share.
Thank you, Faith. So yeah, as Faith was saying, the purpose of this course is really about working together to learn and unlearn and make a positive contribution towards climate action. It's about becoming Trimtabs in the climate movement. And some of the key things, some of the key questions that are guiding this course are, What are the root causes of climate change? How can we reframe the issue, and what does reframing the issue unlock? How does our current worldviews limit our ability to create change? How can we unlearn the deeply ingrained perspectives that may be contributing to the harm that we're seeing? How can we truly think like nature? What has been effective so far in shaping awareness and helping to stabilize our climate? Why have they been effective, and what models and frameworks can we learn from them? And how can we take the whole systems thinking approach and apply it to our work on the ground? And finally, how can we collaborate more effectively towards our goals? And it's in the service of this last question, really, how can we more effectively work towards our goals, that we are proposing some guiding principles to support us over the next couple of months. Firstly, I want to say the Space Camp is not a separate entity. It's an emergent property of us all being here. Every single one of us on this call are Space Camp. We are Space Camp. And that means we'll have a sense of agency within it. And equally, we'll have a sense of responsibility too. So we ask that you enter the space, both the live calls and the community stack, in the spirit of curiosity, respect, gratitude, and generosity. If we're going to unlearn together and change the status quo, that means getting uncomfortable. And many of you may have already pushed beyond your comfort zones already. And we thank you for going there with us. So we just ask to try to enter every session with that openness and curiosity. What possibilities do we invite when we enter Space Camp with a playful curiosity? And this is also a global community made up of many different worldviews and life experiences. And so treating each other with respect is paramount. Nature teaches us that diversity leads to resilience, and being able to communicate and collaborate across those divides is essential if we're going to create a world that works for 100% of life. And then try also, excuse me, to give generously too of your presence and of your attention. Don't hold back any questions, ideas, dreams that come to you. Share them. These are the gifts that you can offer your fellow community members. This could be in the live sessions or in the community Slack. The more you put into Space Camp, the more everybody gets out of it. And in return, if people are sharing, truly listen and show appreciation. They just might be sharing something that you need to hear. Okay. And so we'll start to talk about the speakers that we'll be hearing from and learning with and from over the next little while. So firstly, on next week, next Tuesday, so that's October the 18th, we have the wonderful opportunity of being in conversation with Judith Schwartz and Ryan Allard. And I know that they're both here on the call as well today. So thanks for joining. Judith is a writer and an author who tells stories to illuminate scientific concepts and natural system solutions to our global environmental, economic, and social issues. She writes for numerous publications, and her latest book, The Reindeer Chronicles, was actually recommended reading in one of our previous Space Camps courses. Some of you may have read it already. Ryan is a senior fellow at Project Drawdown, which I'm sure many of you have heard of. If you haven't, it is the most comprehensive plan ever proposed to reverse global warming. And it's not just me saying that. And together, they will be discussing what it means to be a Trimtab and what it means to make the impossible possible.
So on November 1st, we'll be hearing from Carl Burkhardt, who is the co-founder and deputy director of One Earth, of an organization that works to support academic institutions and NGOs working at the cutting edge of climate and energy science. They put out the One Earth bioregional map, which you all have seen in the chat here. And they also work on biodiversity mapping and sustainable agriculture. Carl and Brian, who is the founder of Climate Foundation, and I can put some links into the chat and then we'll also be putting them into the Slack, is also a BFI advisor and he works at the nexus of marine permaculture. And so they'll be diving into the 3 pillars of clean renewable energy, lands and oceans, and emissions through regenerative agriculture. And that's all coming from a systems change perspective. So join us on November 1st.
And then on November 15th, we will hear from Tenzin Selden, who is the founder of The Plant and also now managing partner of the Pulse Fund, alongside Tom Chi, who many of you may know and remember from one of the previous Space Camp courses. They're going to be exploring the intersections of climate tech and unlocking capital.
Beautiful. This is a pretty full course. It's 8 weeks long with a session every Tuesday. So on November 29th, we'll be hearing from Julia Jackson, who is the founder of grounded.org, which is an organization that convenes and fosters collaboration between and amongst the world's foremost climate change experts. And Chad Frischman, who is the previous co-author, lead researcher, and principal architect of Drawdown Solutions Framework. And he's also the founder of Regen Intel, which is a new endeavor that works to build data and platforms around regenerative intelligence and climate. And then also he's the founder of the Global Solutions Alliance, which is a nonprofit organization that he's just launched. And then on November 22nd, as I mentioned before, we'll be hearing from Kurt Prisbilla, who is a key BFI advisor for the last 15 years. He is going to be speaking to us about Buckminster Fuller and the life and work of Buckminster Fuller, as well as grounding it into the framework of comprehensive anticipatory design science. Kurt is a inventor. He's an architect, and he's the founder of Tetra Tops, which is a little kind of toy. I don't know if you guys can see this, but it's a toy for school children to learn about tensegrity.
And finally, we will be hearing from Marilyn Waite about finance and how it can be mobilized as a force for good. So Marilyn leads the Climate Finance Fund, which focuses on mobilizing capital for climate solutions. And her writing has appeared in the Financial Times and Forbes and many other great things. So we can expect a lot of good wisdom out of this session. Somebody posted a question. Adam, it's not every Tuesday though, right? It is actually every Tuesday. So the sessions are sort of one after another, and in between that we'll have a few bonus sessions. So this session with Marilyn Waite is one of the bonus sessions. The session with Kurt on Fuller 101 and comprehensive anticipatory design science is another bonus session. We'll have a missions speed dating, which we'll talk to more later. And one of the other sessions that we'll have is also a community film night, just in case you didn't think you had enough fun built into this. So yeah, and all of these sessions, there is a calendar that's available in the welcome email. Hopefully you will receive that. But if not, it's also in the community guide. So if you can click on that, that will sync up with your personal calendars, and you'll have all of these in there ready with the links as you need them.
So I think from here, we're going to dive into a little bit more about the course so you actually know why you're here and what we'll be doing over the next 8 weeks. Go for it, Will.
Well, I think we kind of covered what we'll be doing over the next 8 weeks in terms of the speakers, but to support us in that journey, there's a couple of things that we've put together and hopefully many of you have seen now. So I'm just going to share my screen. So there's the two kind of core bits of infrastructure that you need to be aware of is this course guide and the community Slack. So hopefully many of you have seen this already, and if not, I invite you to explore it in your own time. I'll kind of briefly run through things now. So there's just a general overview. The first things you'll need to do, as I said, explore this course guide, join the community Slack, and then download the course calendar, which I mentioned before, a bit about what Space Camp is. The course infrastructure, again, is pretty much just the Slack. We'll also be sharing weekly emails with all of the updates, the event invites, and sharing the recordings of everything. They will be shared via this course guide, via the community Slack, and via email. So you should have access to everything. But if at any point you need anything, of course, please just reach out to us either via Slack or by email. The course schedule is all here. I've updated this now because it did only have 6 on there. Again, join the calendar. If we haven't received the Zoom link via email or you can't find it, it'll always be in this course guide. So you can click on this button. It'll also be in the community Slack. Some of the guiding principles that I went through earlier. And then there's a whole missions portion. Now we'll get onto missions a bit later in the call, very shortly actually. But this is kind of where you can come from for all of the information around what missions are, how they participate, what the process is, and also it has this is the place where you can sign up and submit your missions, and you'll also be able to view the missions and sign up to other missions there as well. Again, we'll come to that. And then it's got all of your course, all of the sessions. So again, links will be available pretty much everywhere. And we'll share all the speaker resources here as well. You'll be able to see the speaker bios. Apologize to Ryan because I got his slightly wrong. He is a former senior fellow at Drawdown and since then has done many things, but we will hear from him and Judith next week. I'm really looking forward to that session. Actually, they've put a lot of work into that, so it's going to be pretty amazing. So that's the course guide, and then there's the community Slack, and there are 87 of us I can see in here now, so that's a good majority of us. If you haven't found yourself in this yet and can't figure out how to get in, I can invite you via email. So just send me a message, drop me your email, and I'll invite you directly. So in the community Slack, you've got all of the course announcements. We'll post the Zoom links once again. Then the space for general community. And this is really just as people have been, just sharing anything that comes to you. And many people have posted so many wonderful things in the Zoom chat now as we've been speaking. So really like add this to the community Slack so that everyone can engage and share in it, and it kind of can have a life more so than just within these Zoom calls. Many of you have introduced yourself. Not all of you have introduced yourself, so I would definitely invite you all to do that. Reading about all of you is just, it warms my heart. There's such a good cohort and community here, so it's amazing. Again, session 1. Now there was a little invitation ahead of the call, and I'm going to throw this out after the call as well, to go and stand on the earth and just feel it. And as we said, if we're going to learn and unlearn together, we have to get uncomfortable. And posting a video of my feet was definitely uncomfortable, but someone has to start it off, and I would love some more people to join me over the next few days as well. And then, yeah, as the sessions go on, we'll open up new channels for each of the sessions where we can use that as a space to discuss what we've learned and share anything that feels relevant to that. As you can see here, Faith has shared some of the resources and just information about the speakers. So this is another place you can go for all of that. Another thing that might be worth mentioning is that you can message people directly here, and we encourage that. Space Camp is all about collaboration, and so yeah, I would love for this space to be such a thriving community culture. So take advantage of this. If you want to find people, you go to more over here, down to people and user groups, and then you can reach out to anybody you may have had an interesting breakout room group with, and just generally want to communicate with. So those are the two core bits of infrastructure that you need to know about. There's also a little video here. If you're unfamiliar with Slack, I know it's not always the most intuitive, but there's a little video here you can watch, and there are other things on YouTube. But as I said, if you have any questions about any of this, feel free to reach out to me via Slack. But again, if you're having trouble with Slack, maybe just via email, will@bfi.org or spacecamp@bfi.org. Okay, brilliant. I will stop. So yeah, so then accessibility and care. So as I've mentioned already, all of the sessions will be recorded and shared widely. So there'll be transcripts of the sessions as well as the videos, which we will share via the emails, via the course guide, and on the Slack. So hopefully you should all be able to participate. If you can't make some of the sessions, you can easily catch up. And one of the things as well that we're also introducing this Space Camp is the care team. And the care team is a small but dedicated group of volunteers and also fellow participants who are made themselves available for us at any point during the live sessions that some strong emotion surface. As we said earlier, this is things could get a bit experimental, but it's also a kind of a global community when there's such a diversity of worldviews and perspectives, and some tensions may arise. So if at any point you feel like you just want to take time out, 5 minutes, and just talk to somebody, send Faith or I a message via the chat or the type box message thingy, as Alana said. And we will put you in contact with, we will set up a breakout room and send you and one of the care team members in there, and you can just talk to them for a moment. So yeah, that's the care team. Yeah, and then we'll talk to you about missions now as well.
So as Will mentioned, the missions are an action learning component of Trimtab Space Camp. You'll have the opportunity to ideate, develop, and reform regenerative on-the-ground projects, which we call missions, in real time along a global community of peers. We encourage everyone either to lead or to support a mission in order to get the fullest experience out of Space Camp. And over the last 2 years, we've had over 100 missions which have been developed. Some are still ongoing, such as the Trimtab Book Club or WorldLink. John and Yoshimi, who are a part of this community, have an ongoing monthly mission that they are part of. And there's the Trillion Trees mission. We'll share all of this in the Slack channel. But these missions have the potential to have an ongoing future outside of this course. So leading a mission is a fantastic opportunity. Your project can be in any stage, from a nascent idea to a fully established project. Even if you've already launched your project, Space Camp is an opportunity to make sure that this is a comprehensive and impactful project that works with the frameworks and tools and models that you're learning through Space Camp. And you also have an incredible community of peers that you get to be, that you get to establish a community with. So will share more with you about the time. It's also okay if you don't have a mission and you don't want to lead a mission. You can support on a mission, bringing either your experience or ideas or just your body. So there's a lot of opportunities here to be a part of a mission in any different way. Again, will share more about the timing of the missions. And you'll hear from a couple people that are running missions, including Sonoma Academy, who has a Schools for a Climate Future. And you'll hear more about that at the mission session later on October 25th.
And so with dates, I'll just run through these. They're not yet in the course guide. I will add them as soon as this call is over. And excuse me if it seems like I'm reading, I am. So you'll be able to submit your missions up until Friday the 21st of October. And as I said, the sign-up form is in the course guide, along with all of the information you have there about what the roles and responsibilities of being a mission lead are, what are some of the activities that you could do with your mission teams, and some more examples of previous missions. And then we'll have, after everyone has submitted their missions, we'll have the mission speed dating on October the 25th, where mission leads will have a bit more of an opportunity to talk more about their projects, and those who are wishing to support a mission have the opportunity to ask questions. And then after that, on Friday, October the 28th, again, I will put all of these in the course guide. This will be your home for all of this information. After that, on Friday the 28th, people have an opportunity to sign up for missions, and then that will form the mission teams. So for the rest of the course, you guys will meet once a week is what we ask, and just take the learnings from each of the sessions, take all of the inspiration that you've gained from each other within the community Slack, and apply those to the missions and to your projects. We'll also have the mission support team on hand as well during this course. So at any point, if you feel like your project, your mission has just gone a bit wayward, or you just need a bit more directional guidance, just a few pointers, there'll be a mission support form, request form, again on the course guide that you can just, as the name suggests, request some support, and one of the mission support team will get back to you. And I think that's all I have to say, but I'm sure there are plenty of questions. So if anyone has any, please do raise your hand, or just speak out loud. I have a feeling we're not going to be speaking all over each other.
So a question in the chat right now is, should missions be things you're already working on? So it doesn't have to be. It could be something that you've had an idea about and haven't been able to bring it to life because you don't have the resources in terms of people that you want to actually actualize this project with. So you could have something that's just an idea.
Yeah, it's really an incubator. Every project will be in a different stage, and every project will have its own objectives, and you have an opportunity then to get support with, it could be ideation, it could be something a bit more concrete if you know exactly what your project needs. Although we do encourage everyone to go back to the drawing board a little bit. This is a great opportunity to really assess and make sure that the project is moving in the right directions, but it's a wide open space in that regard.
And the missions don't have to be brand new to you. They can be an idea that's already, or a program that's already running, but you need support from the community here. Generally, it should have something to do with climate destabilization, or moving in that direction towards climate stabilization, or a climate safe future, or something that has to do with systems thinking and systems change.
Is it that the Tuesdays are actual live dialogues between the two folks? They're live. Okay, great. Yeah. And that is our opportunity then to engage with them and ask questions thereafter or during?
Yes,
exactly.
So there'll be a question and answer session during the live sessions.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
And while we have Judith here, I guess maybe we can open it up to you and Ryan. Does anybody have questions for Judith prior to the session?
I put them on the spot.
Yeah. Sorry, Judith.
No problem.
Can I ask a quick question?
Go for it, Nikki.
I'm just curious, no matter what the answer is, who is the greatest influence in your life that led you all the way down your path to be here with us today?
Oh, wow. It's for me and Ryan. I am absolutely a blank, because that would be great to have that be part of a story, that there is one person. For me, it's kind of bumping into this and bumping into that and kind of ricocheting here and there. But if I reflect on it, I may actually come up with something that just hasn't surfaced yet. But thank you. Thank you for the challenge.
We'll
You're
accept your
welcome.
answer next week.
Yeah, I didn't mean to put you on the spot like that in an uncomfortable way. I was just genuinely curious.
No. It's not uncomfortable, although it's always ideal to have an answer in one's pocket. But that doesn't always happen. And that's fine.
And maybe we can ask Ryan the same question. I don't know if Ryan is still here with us.
Well, I'm here.
Okay.
That is a tricky one, Nikki. I had a quick think when Judith was giving her response. It might be my mother. So I think she had certain principles, ideals that she laid down during my life. Certain expectations, I try to meet them, all the time. But I could put my video on. But I think that she's passed on. But I think that she has set this idea and laid these foundations, these ideas in my head that to this day I still, I don't even realize it sometimes that creates this direction in my life. And I've moved around a bit, like Judith said, in terms of career and focus. But I think that, that those initial, foundational direction setters, let's say, I think a lot of those came from her. Other people also have influence, certainly. But I think she may come out on top as one of the most influential. But that's quite an interesting question. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Well,
I have a question. I saw that someone asked this before, and is there still time to bring more campers in?
yes, that is a good impetus. Thank you, Judah. Really appreciate that. So this orientation call is recorded. You can still join Trimtab Space Camp until the 18th of October, and even beyond that, honestly. But we would love for you to join before October 18th so that you can be here for Judith and Ryan's session. Would love for you to share Space Camp with your community and your friends and family. You won't be hearing from me and Will throughout the course. You'll be hearing from change makers and experts in the field. So we'll be happy to have any of your community join us, and just builds our impact. And honestly, it's really what makes the BFI community come together and come to life. Go for it, Arturo.
I just had a question. I get the strong sense that missions and the speakers and the theme of the camp is not specifically not human-centered design or human-centered strategies, but humans are not at the center of the solution for climate stabilization. Is that a tacit approach? Are we considering a multi-species approach to it? Like, is that part of the on the outset how we're meant to consider that within missions, that we are one of many species in the planet and we need to figure out how to stabilize in congruence with other species? like not as the apex predator that is now building a new house to stabilize it, right? Like, and creating further problems, right? So I don't know if that's the wrong approach, but I get the sense that any mission in the next 3 months is not human-centered, or, you know, yeah.
I mean, I
they're
think
part of a group.
That's a beautiful impetus. I wouldn't say it's resigned to human-centered or living systems-centered design, but we do take a living systems design approach at the Buckminster Fuller Institute. And I think that that's really something that we can consider throughout all of the sessions and all throughout this course. And so I think it's really, it is dependent on what people bring as their mission, but we try not to cap it if it's, you know, a program that's really based on how do we change via our action. And that's kind of a human-centered approach. So I think there's a lot of different projects that have come through the courses, the Trimtab Space Camp course. Some are, I lost you. Some are really focused on humans' actions, and some are really kind of wide-reaching. And we'll actually share some of the previous missions in the Slack community. Go for it, Mark.
So I'm wondering about sort of a tree of missions, like, so a mission, so here's how we design the sustainable economy. And under that, you know, here's energy, here's food. But so what I'm really saying is a way, can we structure it so that there's a way of relating, so that we're actually figuring out how the different pieces fit together in a whole systems approach? Because I'm thinking this is an enormous opportunity. It reminds me of the projects team at EST, but on a bigger scale. It's like, wow, we can lay it out, and there's a whole bunch of technologies, not just the ones we're working on right now, but there are a whole bunch of technologies that can be placed into a design, and we can say, okay, if this is there and this does this, then this is the impact on the world. And this is, if these things are all happening, this is how these can interact with each other, and how much we can displace of the current economy by following up on that. What do you think?
Go for it, Will.
I mean, I loved everything you're saying. I kind of got inspired, and it just made me, yeah, not directly related, but inspired from what you were saying, is just the space camp is, as I said before, a living, breathing entity made up of all of us. And I want to welcome any ideas that people have and how we can make this better for all of us, how we can collaborate better, how we can, as you said, combine and really, yeah, exponentially drive the impact that we're trying to create here. So yeah, this is a fluid space, and everyone has a sense of agency. So please share and yeah, help us create the best course that we can over the next couple of months.
So maybe part of what I'm saying has to, or what I'm looking at, has to do with creating a community environment for action, where, you know, like an online community. And Slack, you know, I've got a barrier trying to get into Slack at all, but hopefully I'll get over that, maybe with your help. But I don't know that Slack is set up as an online community, other than for passing messages back and forth. I'm not caught up with how good it is yet, or how comprehensive it is, but that's a question that I can't answer.
I mean, that strikes me as a potential mission. I'd love to get a team together about what the best platform could be, and to speak directly to the platform. We've had sort of several calls back and forth, and Slack probably wouldn't be our first choice. However, sometimes you just have to work with the conditions you get given. And I know that with us all together participating and engaging, Slack could really be a beautiful community for at least brainstorming what could be a better platform to hold that community. I also just want to quickly speak. I know a few people have mentioned in the chat box that they're having trouble accessing the Slack. So again, just drop your email there now, and I will send you a direct invite. So you should receive a link to your email that will allow you straight in.
And then maybe
thank you, Mark, for those provocations. Yeah, that was great.
And maybe does BFI have a place for holding content and organizing content other than this group, or do you have the ability to set up a kind of a library of content?
We have the cooperating manual for Spaceship Earth. And Mark, if you want to stay on, I can talk to you about how you input content into the resource wiki. But I think it would be good to understand, what type of content you're looking at sharing.
All right.
Would love for Brian to share a little bit, and then I think we can close this session out. And Brian is also one of our speakers. We can't hear you, unfortunately, Brian. Oh.
One, two, three. Is that any better?
Yeah, that's better.
Okay, great. Sorry about that. Yes, as a bit of a metaphor for our social interaction, people may have noticed in the last 3 years, Google has declared quantum supremacy for quantum computers. And what's interesting about our social interaction is that we connect, we come together and interact, and the entanglement of our consciousness is a bit like the way a quantum computer works. Google had achieved 53 qubits, I believe, in 2019, and each additional qubit represents roughly a doubling of computer capacity. So we could think of our group with dozens of members as being qubits in a sense, and each person that we bring in that is so-called entangled in our thought process and whatnot could potentially represent a doubling of our consciousness, if you will, in terms of what's possible as an outcome. So it's a kind of an interesting metaphor, but I think that speaks well to the power of small groups of people who come together and try to develop a greater consciousness around a problem, potential approaches and potential solutions. Thanks, Faith. Back to you.
Excellent. I love that. And that's the other part of Space Camp is there's so many other collaborators and project partners here that we can work with and through. And there's, tons of different opportunities throughout this course. So I just wanted to say thank you to everybody that's joined us today. We look forward to having you all here for our course. Olga, if you want to stay on with us afterwards, we'd love to chat to you. We'll be sharing the chat in the Slack. So everybody that's shared their information in the chat. If you don't want that to be shared widely, please send me a message. Otherwise, we'll be sharing all of this in the Slack community, and we'll be able to meet each other. And don't forget October 18th with Judith, Schwartz, and Ryan Allard. Thank you all.
And don't forget to introduce yourselves in the Slack, and also go stand on the earth and let us know how it feels. And yeah, I just want to just echo the gratitude for everyone joining this course.
Thank you.
It's amazing. I'm really looking forward to being on here with you.
Yeah, gratitude to everybody that's here today and will be here on the 18th, and everybody that's put their time and energy into being a part of something greater.